Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, a hearty good morning to you on this Thursday as we're coming to you live from our Tampa office today as I have some business in Tampa, so I'll only be able to do the first hour of the show as Nick Geddes joins me here from our St. Petersburg studio. Good morning to you, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm fired up here on a Thursday, as much as I could be fired up after another snooze fest from our Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, that's not trending in the right direction, but I think we're fine.
But I'm fired up because of Mr. Canales, who makes me want to get out there and put the helmet on. I got no credentials, but I kind of want to play for the dude. So that's why I'm fired up here on a Thursday.
Yeah, we're gonna, and of course, I love the videos that the Bucks are leaking out, from camp and seeing all the new guys, the new uniforms, new numbers. I'm sitting here getting a little juiced for NFL in May. I mean, how is that important? And those, yes, I put it out on Twitter yesterday. I was watching some of the clips, and I'm like, boy, what a breath of fresh air Dave Canales is at his press conference. I don't know if this guy can coach a lick. I don't know if he can call a play. But when I listen to his press conferences, he certainly seems incredibly competent, very creative, fully in charge, very confident, humble. I just get great vibes from this guy. And again, it doesn't mean squat. That doesn't put a point on the board. But you get a feeling that this guy is really dialed in to the NFL's modern day offense, which is something we really haven't delved into here in Tampa Bay, to be quite honest with you. This is no shot at Bruce Arians. When Bruce Arians did win us a Super Bowl. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. But the game is evolving, and this Buccaneers offense is evolving because there is no more Tom Brady. And that's the reason, obviously, that everybody thinks the Bucs are going to be awful. But I got news for you. The quarterback they have now, either one of them in a modern offense will be able to put up more points than what we did last year. And that's not a knock on Tom Brady. It's a reality check of what that Tom Brady was last year. It was not the vintage Tom Brady, obviously, combined with a offensive coordinator that had no clue and was actively working against what the head coach wanted to do. It seems like complete dysfunction. So, again, not a knock on Brady, just a knock on the whole dysfunction that was the Buccaneers offense last year. And I, for one, can't wait to see what Dave Canales does with this group.
Yeah, we're moving onward and upward. And I tell you, and this thing is he's never called a play in his life, right? At least in the collegiate level or the pro level. But he makes me believe that this offense is going to be like crazy good. And I haven't even seen it. Now, he could fall flat on his face. This is all talk, right?
Right.
Just because you ace all the press conferences doesn't mean you
nothing.
ace when we get to the field. But it's just so good to hear. It's like you ask him a question about something and you get a nice minute to 2 minute response sometimes. And there's some thoughtfulness behind it. And he kind of peels back the curtain just enough for my taste. Whereas the guy who was before him gave you 10 seconds of blah, 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 blah. I don't want to be here. I don't want to answer your questions. I'm smarter than you.
You're stupid.
You don't get any of this with Dave Canales. So
no logic.
Already, it's just so refreshing to hear.
Yeah, no logic, no analytics. Don't ask me questions. Don't be bringing up trends like offensive short yardage plays that don't work with certain personnel. I mean, it's silliness.
Don't try to tell me that putting Luke Gedeke one-on-one against Cam Hayward is a bad idea. Don't try to tell me that.
Yeah, you guys don't understand. It's very complex. You don't know. There's a lot going on here.
Fantasy football, folks. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, I have to coach the GOAT, right? I have to get this right. So, look, I don't want to bash Byron. We've done that enough. But I'm just ready for the fresh air that is Dave Canales, that is going to be this offense, this, so much of it wide open, quarterbacks on the move, changing launch points, waggles, bootlegs, everything that helps the running game. We talked a lot about this, and I'm very excited to get to it. So we'll hear from Dave Canales here. We'll dive in a little bit more on that. The Rays, of course, another sad performance offensively last night, and suddenly this team can't score. And, we knew this was going to happen eventually, right? Well, of course, they're on the road, so they can't cheat like they do at home, right? They lost 2-1. Exactly. 4-2 the night before. They only scored 3 runs in the last couple of games. And it's just a bevy of missed opportunities. They're getting guys on, but they just can't get the big hit. And that's, this is what we talked about during the streak, right? Teams don't do this because it's baseball. You could hit the ball great one night and get nothing out of it because you hit it right at them or not in the right situations. And that's basically what's happened with the Rays. Now, don't get me wrong. They run into a good Baltimore team. Baltimore can pitch the baseball. They can pitch the baseball. They can hit the baseball. This is an up-and-coming team. We've got a big enough sample size now from the Orioles to know that they are a good baseball team, and they may be really good. Time will tell if they'll be able to hold on and keep doing what they're doing. But we know this. The back end of their bullpen is ridiculous. Cano again last night. I mean, he's one of those relievers that's in a zone right now where you watch him come in, and we've seen this over the past 30, 40 years, where you just know you got no chance to score. Aroldis Chapman in his prime. I'll go back to Raleigh Fingers in his prime. These guys, our good friend Goose Gossage. These guys, you had no hope. You can't hit that guy. His numbers are so ridiculous. What is it? 18 innings now. He's given up 2 hits and 2 base runners. It's just absolutely ridiculous, the numbers that and guys aren't. The chase rate is like 39%. It's off the charts. He's given up, I think his ERA hasn't given up a run, so it's 0. His whip going into last night's performance was 0.17. 0.17. Like, I didn't even know that was possible. So, if you're behind in the 7th, 8th inning, 9th inning against the Orioles, good night, nurse.
Yeah, that team, the 8-9 with Cano and Batista, and I think Cano's better than Batista. And then the other guy who threw at us yesterday, who was unhittable, Colomb, the lefty.
Yeah,
he's like diving over to the third base side and just dropping this classic 12-6 hook that sneaks up on you. It looks harder than probably what it's coming in. Our guys had no chance on that. But what really just bothered me yesterday about the Rays, it's more than just them not hitting. They had opportunities again for the second straight night. And I think it was in the 8th inning, Brandon Lau gets lifted for Randy Arozarena. And we've talked so much about Randy Arozarena and how locked in he's been this year. And I felt like he resorted to some bad habits in that at bat. And I'm singling that at bat out because that was a moment where the Rays had runners. There was just one out, had the pitcher on the ropes. And what does he do? He's swinging for the fences.
Yep.
He takes 3 swings, swinging for the fences. And it just reminded me of like 2022 Randy all over again.
Yeah.
And then here comes Harold Ramirez, and what's he doing? Swinging for the fences. The guy who gets the ball on the bat probably better than anybody on this team, not named Yandy Diaz. I understand he's hit more for pop and all that, but you didn't need to do that in those moments. I think those 2 at-bats just summed up what we saw from the Rays in this series. Too much swinging for the fences. Maybe they're pressing a little bit there when things are not going their way, really for the first time for an extended time this season, mind you.
Right.
So those were the 2 troubling things I saw last night, were those 2 at-bats that they just kind of it looked like the 2022 Rays the last couple games here out there.
Well, for the series, they go 1 for 20 with runners in scoring position, 22 runners left on base. That's not good. And that's going to get you beat. And they're lucky they won one of the games, to be quite honest.
And also too, by the way, and we talked about this yesterday, you asked me, would I put Taylor Walls in the lineup over Brandon Lau at this point more often than not? Brandon Lau, why was he hitting in the 3rd hole, in the 3 hole yesterday?
I don't know.
Can I get an explanation for that?
Maybe they're just trying to get him in a spot where he can get some fastballs.
He's hitting 193 now, Brandon Lau. The average has dipped 100 points over the last 10 days.
Yeah, I think that's what they're thinking. They're trying to get him in a spot where they can get some runners on base and get some runners on base and get some fastballs for him because he can't hit the off-speed stuff. No, he almost went yard. We almost were talking about Brandon Lau today, but
he did. But there was another at bat too where I think he got down 0-2. And if you're Brandon Lau, once you go down 0-2, you're not seeing another fastball for the at bat.
Right,
it's not happening.
Yep.
and you know they're going low and away on you. I just want to know that Brandon Lowe knows, and I know he probably gets it, but right now you're just in a slump. You're kind of just all over the place. You know they're going low and away with a changeup or a sinker, something off speed, and he just does his whiff right at it where it's just not a competitive swing. So he's going through it right now. Drew Jetson chiming in. Brandon Lowe's rubbing off on everybody right now.
Oh, get him out of here.
Get him out of here. I mean, I'm not Brandon Lowe again. He goes through stretches where he can carry your offense and he can be a detriment to your offense, like I said yesterday, and that's kind of where he is at the moment. But you had plenty of opportunities in the story. 1 for 20, 2 games in a row. You're just not going to win baseball games that way, and it's a shame because the Rays pitched really well in both games.
They did again last night. Beeks started off great. Chirinos came in, had really one bad inning. I mean, you give up 2 runs, you hope to win the game. They've done that. They gave up 4 runs last night. The pitching is great, especially considering what happened. And, we have to talk about this. Tyler Glass now. Injured again. By the way, before we keep going with the Rays, we didn't set up the show today. Pat Williams is going to join us at 10:30 from Orlando. The great Pat Williams. Can't wait to have him on, the founder of the Orlando Magic, who now is going after a Major League Baseball team, trying to get an expansion team. But he will, as he said yesterday, if the Rays want to talk, we're all ears, as he said in his presentation. So we're going to have Pat Williams on at 10:30 to feel him out, what the Orlando Dreamers is all about, and just have a nice conversation with Pat Williams. Always fun to talk with him. He's an icon in the sports industry and in the life industry. So we're very excited to have him on at 10:30. I'm going, by the way, I have to MC the CEO Council luncheon today. Check this out. I'll be doing a roundtable with, as I'm going to call them, you can help me out with my intro here, Nick. They're Tampa Bay does not exist without our 3 general managers, Jason Light, Julian Breezeball, and Eric Neander.
The 3 pillars. Let's call them the 3 pillars.
I like pillars is good. Well, I was going to go with the superheroes theme. There are superheroes, right? Because they are the ones. Without them, we don't have Tom Brady. We don't have Wander Franco. We don't have Steven Stamkos, right? The men that make Tampa Bay and these are the men that acquire the talent. So we're going to be doing this from a kind of a CEO business standpoint, like what lessons can we learn from these great CEOs of their teams and apply them to the business world. So that's kind of going to be our theme today for the luncheon. Very much looking forward to it. We're recording it and we're going to play back the question and answer. We'll do portions of it on Monday and we'll have some for next week. So I got all 3 GMs. I'll tell you right now, this is not 60 Minutes. We're not grilling these guys. We're going to be learning from them. We're sitting at the feet of our Yodas.
Of royalty.
The royalty. So are they the Avengers? They're not. I don't know if that fits. If they're we're bringing out our best superheroes. What do we call them? Is there a name? Because the Avengers is the movie where you brought them all together, right?
Yeah, where they all came together. You got your knowledge there. I mean, we're a Marvel themed show here. We don't mess with DC. Let's get that out of the way.
Avengers is Marvel. Right?
Avengers is Marvel. Okay, yes, so we have to keep it. Avengers is good. Avengers is good. Now, who's the lead dog there? So it's Jason Light, Eric Neander, and Julian Breezeball.
Yeah, there's no lead dog. There's
Light came first. Jason Light came first. So we're gonna put him in the Iron Man stable.
So he's in Iron Man. Okay.
Yep. We're going to put Julian Breezeball can be Thor. Okay?
He looks like Thor.
Because the strongest Avenger is Thor. I don't care what he says. He's the strongest Avenger. And the Lightning, I think, are the strongest franchise.
Right.
Bay, so we'll give him that. Eric Neander's a little tougher to nail down.
I kind of like Iron Man for Eric Neander because, Iron Man is the creative inventor. Right, he's the one that comes up with all this crazy stuff that gives him his superpower. Where I see Jason is more of a Hulk guy, right? Is Hulk Marvel? I don't know.
Yes, he is.
So he gets me more like a Hulk guy. He's just like big, powerful. We're going after the big guys. We're getting Tom Brady. I don't know, maybe not.
I wanted to go Iron Man for Jason Light, but I like the explanation, and I'm surprised you got that nailed down there. That explanation for Iron Man was perfect. So I think Eric Neander has to be that, and we can go Hulk for Jason Licht. We can go Hulk for Jason Licht. How about you can call him Big Boom, Big what's it called? High risk, high reward. I think is Jason Licht, and
High risk. All
high
right,
risk, high reward, and we'll go the Hulk for that.
We'll go Hulk. All right, cool. I think that's good. So they are our Avengers of Tampa Bay. They are our superheroes who have come in and made this the greatest sports city in the history of sports cities. We're the only city to ever win, two Stanley Cups, a Super Bowl, and go to the World Series in a 2-year period or a 1-year period. So I would say that makes us immortal.
It does, and which is why when you opened up, you said, "I have to. We need to change that." You get to.
Yes,
this is
I get to
opportunity.
Yeah, what a wonderful opportunity. I thank the folks at the CEO Council for allowing me to do it. So very excited about doing that today, and we'll be bringing you some of those clips from our roundtable discussion. So I'm asking Light, all right, tell us how you did it. Take us behind the scenes. How did you get the GOAT to Tampa Bay? Give us some good, juicy new stuff. So we might get a little something out of that. We'll see. We got some great questions, and most of it is about a lot of it is about talent acquisition, right? We've got CEOs in the audience that run the biggest companies in Tampa Bay, and one of their biggest charges is to go out and get the best talent, right? Get the smartest people, the best talent to bring into your organization to make your organization stronger, right? It's exactly what these three men are tasked with. So I think there's a lot of synergy there between business and sports, and we're going to delve into that. And I think their philosophies, some of their core values that they adhere to will be very similar to some of the core values that business folks do as well. So I think there's a really cool crossover to be had here. And I'm looking forward to the conversation. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's why I'll be bouncing at 11 o'clock because I got to get it. It's over at Steinbrenner Field, and also looking forward to talking to a lot of the CEOs of Tampa Bay. Spreading the word about the JP Peterson Show. Anybody want to advertise out there? Anyone? Investors, come forward, please. So we'll have some fun with that. All right. So back to the show, and as we kind of wrap up here on the Rays, well. Here comes the Yankees, and of course we did mention Glasnow last night. The word, I don't know if there's been any update this morning, but he had a little tightness in the left side, the oblique that he put him on the DL. So anything we say now is almost meaningless when it comes to the Rays because every time they say it's probably not that bad, Clevenger's got a torn ACL and he's out for the year.
Well, it sounded too like they showed him in the dugout after, and obviously I did not see the game, just heard about it. That he was pretty hot when he got back into the dugout. He was screaming, and there were some 4-letter words and everything, and maybe a slamming of the gloves. So he truly thought that this was like holy F, like why is this happening now?
Yeah,
this guy has just been so snake bitten. He's been so snake bitten since he came to the Rays. At this point, it's like I'm almost fearing because he's not young anymore. Tyler Glasnow is about to be 30 years old.
Yeah.
And he really hasn't pitched that much, to be honest, to be 30 years old in the big leagues. Yeah. And it's like I keep asking, is he ever going to reach the limitless potential that he has in Major League Baseball? But it seems like it's one setback after the other with him, unfortunately. And whereas we were hoping maybe we can get this guy back mid-May, like I had kind of penciled in that New York Mets series, that would have been a great time to see him potentially. Some of these really good teams that got to play here in the month of May. I'm like, okay, now do we got to rest him a little bit? And we got to push this back to June. I mean, it's just not a great situation. It's because yesterday they wanted him to go 4 and get, I think 60 pitches was what they were trying to get him to yesterday. And the fact that you only get an inning out of it, I mean, this is such a big delay in his recovery now.
Well, and the whole fact that, he's that animated as he comes off and he's that pissed off, it tells me that it's a significant setback. We don't know yet, but that's what it hints at.
We got to fear for the worst, like you said.
I know. Unfortunately,
injuries, we have to fear for the worst. We've been down this road.
Yeah. I just, we were so looking forward to come. I guess the good news is, we're 29-9 without him.
Yeah. They have the buffer. They have the buffer there that they can withstand a drought, which is coming. Is it coming now? Is what people want to know. Is this just this whole what happened here in Baltimore? Is this an example of them cooling off and coming back down to earth a little bit? And I got to tell you, I don't think going in, and as much as I'm hyped up for this series against the Yankees, a 4-game set in Yankee Stadium, can't stand those guys. So perfect a week to play them now after the whole thing that happened after this weekend. I just I don't like this matchup for a team that just hasn't hit the last couple games. I really don't, because the Yankees, and I know they just played the A's, so they got their free wins out of the way, but they're starting to hit the ball a lot better now. They got Aaron Judge back, and Yandy Diaz said it, I think, yesterday. When Judge is in that lineup, everyone around him is like more like ready to play, it feels like. He's the energizer to that team. So, it's going to be rocking there at Yankee Stadium all 4 games. They want to beat this team badly. So I'm not this is not a matchup that I think is great for the Rays at the moment because of those things.
Yeah, they sweep the A's, and they do it by outscoring them 28-10 in 3 games. So, and the Yankees are probably a little pissed off because of the walk-off loss with Garrett Cole, blowing a 6-0 lead. But I think the Rays are probably still pissed off at the butthurt, ridiculous, childish hitting of Randy Arozarena after he hit a home run. They're probably still butthurt about that. So, there's going to be some intensity in the Bronx this weekend. Throw in the whole, cheating allegations from their hometown WFAN. And is FAN the voice of the Yankees? Yeah, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So they're the Yankee station calling out the Rays for cheating.
Correct.
Isn't that rich? A team that spends 3 times more than the Rays spend saying they're cheating. Who's really cheating here? Who's got the advantage in the unlevel playing field? I know it's not technically cheating, but the playing field is certainly not level when it comes to spending and revenues, etc., like it is in other sports. So for the Yankees to accuse the Rays of cheating is rich. Is like, your advantage is not enough. You can't beat the Rays with this tremendous advantage that is cooked into baseball's books. You can't beat the Rays, and you want to accuse them of cheating. I know the Yankees aren't doing it, but their surrogates for the station that they are on are doing it. You think that's by accident? No, I don't think it's by accident at all.
And I'm telling you this right now, because of how heated that first game got, and I know it cooled down the next 2 days, but I feel like it's always a ticking time bomb with these two teams.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this with Doug, right? There was nobody worth hitting on that Yankee team.
Right.
That we saw for 3 games. Well, guess what?
There's one now.
There's one now. And so, if Drew loses a little, if fastball gets away from him, hits Judge in the ass or something like that. I mean, I'm not gonna bat an eye at that.
I'm here to say we better do it first, because if you wait and let them do it first, then everybody gets warned and you don't get the opportunity to punk their guy. And this has not been the Rays' MO.
No,
the Rays have not done this, but I think it's about time they do it, because they're getting the short end of the stick here. And that's why Cash was so pissed off. He's like, look, we're trying to do this the right way, and you guys are going overboard to allow them to hit our guy twice. Where was the warning after the first one? You didn't do it. Now we can't retaliate, or our guy's getting kicked out. That's why, this is why the rule is so bad. It incentivizes you to make the first strike. And, I'm here to say that Drew Rasmussen needs to plunk him right on the backside. Hit him in the ribs, not the head. Don't want to go after the head. Don't want to have to go to the hands. One in those big, thick legs of his trunk. He can take it. Just give him a little seam tattoo, if you will, and we'll see how the Yankees react.
Which I hate saying that, by the way, because I really do love Aaron Judge.
I do too. I do too. But you brought this on yourself, Yankees. This is not us doing it. This is like a little kid, right? What are you gonna? This is gonna hurt me a lot more than it's gonna hurt you, right? I have to punish you because this is the shenanigans that you have brought on us. I have to punish you. This is the way it's handled in the league. And if I don't do that, you're just gonna keep doing that to us, which is kind of the way it feels right now. I kind of feel like, when's the last time we hit one of their guys?
You got to go back probably 5 years. Remember the whole thing of CC Sabathia got really hot? It was like 2018. And that's what kind of started this rivalry, went to a new level right then and there. I think that was the last time the Rays claim, at least, that they hit a batter intentionally.
Right.
And then you had the whole Chapman-Brasso thing, and then you saw this with Randy. So I think we're due. We're due, but maybe the Rays are just going to go, you know what? You're chasing us. We're not chasing you. We're going to play our game. You want to do those shenanigans? That's fine. Maybe they take that approach. But again, I wouldn't be bothered by one bit if Rasmussen had a fastball get away from him accidentally.
Yeah.
I'd not be bothered by it.
I think it's time, and it should be done early on before they get the opportunity to do it to us. Because, if a road, well, they may do it because they get the pitch first, right? But if they don't, which they probably will, then we need to retaliate. I would like to. I know that's not what Cash likes to do. I know it's not part of his DNA. I know he probably wants to, but the organization is kind of shied away from that. We don't lose focus. We play baseball. We do it the right way. And I get that. But there comes a time when you're getting pushed around a little bit that you have to respond to make sure to stop them from hitting your guys. It's just that simple. There's got to be a price paid. Like in hockey.
I wish Josh Donaldson was not hurt so bad, because that would
I'd much rather hit him.
I would.
Not worth it.
He would be the perfect player to plunk one time, and I'm sure he would probably start a whole stir over it. I don't think Aaron Judge would. Aaron Judge, I think, would take it and go to first base and probably wouldn't think twice of it. So I think, unfortunately, if somebody gets hit, he's probably going to have to take it, because there's nobody else in that lineup maybe Rizzo. But again, I think Rizzo's very likable as well, honestly. So I wish Donaldson was in that lineup this week. I cannot stand Josh Donaldson with every fiber of my being.
I think you're not alone in that. All right, before we get to Pat Williams, I want to hit just one or two of these Dave Canales quotes from yesterday. Let's do number 3. We'll do 3 and 4 here from Dave Canales. This one, number 3, on why he's not naming a starting quarterback right now.
What happened last year firsthand? It was Geno Smith, it was Drew Lock, and it was a true competition. And you got a guy who hadn't played in a long time. You got a guy who had some pretty bad experiences in the recent past with Drew. And so for me, it's a win-win when you create a competition. Here's why. If you name a starter today, the backup guy starts thinking like a backup, okay? But if you say, this is a competition, we're going to allow us to go into the preseason, let them show us they can manage to get us into the right play, they can take care of the ball. That's going to be the determining factor, really, is who takes care of the ball. And then the bonus is, now who pushes it down the field? But if we can play great defense, run it, and take care of the ball, we're going to be a great team. So the guy who can show that is going to win the job. And so for me, what I end up getting out of Drew and Geno is 2 guys who had to mentally put themselves in a place where I'm going to be the starter this year. They trained that way all the way through. The last game in the preseason, we're in Dallas. And Drew's playing for his job. Geno's playing for his job. They both know that. Game 1, I got a starter in Geno, and I got a backup who's been thinking he's a starter for 6 months. Whoever won the job was going to be our starter, but the other guy was going to bring so much more value and confidence to our room. And it was that, so that kind of has been our philosophy, and I would like to take it as far as I can. But of course, the head coach, the general manager, we're going to all have discussions, and they'll, like I told Jason early on, said, I will coach the crap out of whoever you give me and whoever we decide to, but I'll have them both ready.
Wow. I love that answer. Absolutely love that answer. And you get the reasoning behind it. I love this when the coaches can say, listen, football fans, and dare I say, even some reporters, have become pretty good in terms of the football IQ because of everything that's available to us right now. You don't need to be an insider anymore to know more than anybody knows. 10 years ago, it was just the insiders. Now the entire fan base knows all this information is out there. These guys are accessible. We learn things. And, game film, PFF, et cetera, et cetera. So when you have a guy that can explain that to you and say why we're not going to name a starter, not be, we're not going to name a starter, hush, hush, shh, is there all that secrecy stuff, don't want anything out. Well, he just told us why. That's a great explanation, and see how he frames it in such a positive way for both players. It's like we're challenging you to be the best. This is not punishing anybody who doesn't win the job. You got an opportunity. It's on your plate. It's like Devin White. You want to make $20 million a year? Go earn it. You want to be the starter for this football team? Go earn it. There's no bull crap here. Let's just go. So I love it.
Yeah,
love
I want to see specifically how Kyle Trask kind of responds to this. Like, this is his first opportunity to get meaningful playing time and actually be the starter of an NFL football team.
Yeah.
So I want to see how he reacts, and I want to see how Baker Mayfield reacts, knowing that this is probably his last shot at getting a starting gig. Where's that chip on his shoulder at? So I agree with everything you just said there. That was a great explanation, and it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, the great Pat Williams will join us from Orlando. He is the man behind the Orlando Dreamers, who wants to bring Major League Baseball to Orlando. He did it with the Magic. Is he eyeballing the Rays? We will talk to the great Pat Williams next. Stay with us.
Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMA. They're going down. They're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595 or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVSLawGroup.com. Get your personal attention from one of the best law firms in Tampa Bay and Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. All right, it is with great pleasure that we once again welcome in the great Pat Williams from Orlando. He is the founder of the Orlando Magic, longtime NBA executive, one of the greatest human beings on the planet. He is a motivational speaker. He is an author of a gazillion books. I could go on and on. He's in the Hall of Fame, at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. We inducted him, and he's should be in the Hall of Fame of Life as well. Pat, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, JP. How are you doing? Hope things are well.
We're in Tampa Bay here, Pat. We absolutely love our what we got going here, and I've been spending a lot of time in Orlando lately, and it's a great city. And you want to bring baseball to Orlando, and made a great presentation the other day. So all of our fans here are a little, they're a little queasy. We don't want to lose our Rays, but I want to kind of focus in first and foremost on what your vision is for the Orlando Dreamers.
Well, JP, we've become a big market, a big city in Orlando. We're now the 17th largest media market in North America and rising steadily. We're the largest media market in the country that does not have a Major League Baseball team. And we think our time has come. The commissioner of baseball has made it clear that he wants to add 2 teams, get to 32. That's the last expansion in baseball I can envision for our lifetime.
Yeah.
And so this is not going to come around again. So we've been preparing for that expansion time for the last, almost 4 years now. And in the meantime, we're following closely what's going on with the Rays, trying to get a new ballpark. And we don't know how that's going to turn out, but we're watching carefully. And, but we've got these wonderful plans for our ballpark. Now we got to figure out a way to pay for it.
Yeah, we've run into that here in Tampa Bay as well, on both sides of the bay. So we're trying to figure that out. Now, you said you're following it closely here. Do you have any inside information, or what is your perspective of how it's going in St. Petersburg and in Hillsborough County? Do you sense that the Rays are close to a deal in either place?
Everything's very quiet, isn't it?
Yes.
We don't hear a lot. I didn't know you don't either. The only comments occasionally come out of St. Pete. But yet, the Rays and the commissioner and all, I would much prefer the Tampa side, I sense.
Yes.
But I'm not sure Tampa is in a position to do that. We're talking well over $1 billion. And how that gets paid for, is a big deal. We're talking here 1.7 billion.
Right.
And we got to figure out a way to pay for it here as well. It's amazing the price these days of ballparks.
Mm-hmm.
It's enormous. So we'll see. But it's all coming to a head pretty quickly over here.
Pat, do you sense that you have a better shot at an expansion team or getting the Rays?
We want to be prepared for either or. As I look at the expansion situation, obviously baseball would pick one out west and one east of the Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Out west, Salt Lake City came out of nowhere. and put their oars in the water, and suddenly look like they're in the lead position. With the A's moving to Vegas,
right?
It looks to me like Salt Lake, and the only other one is Portland. East of the Mississippi, Nashville and Orlando, I think.
Yeah, maybe throw Charlotte in there.
Charlotte's not doing anything.
Oh, that's true.
I can't picture baseball going back to Montreal. I just can't.
No.
So Nashville's been up and running a long time on this. They've got a problem, as I see it. They just allocated this enormous sum of money up there to build a new football stadium.
That's right.
And can they also do the same thing for baseball? I'm not so sure they can.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for two parks at the same time. No question about it. Pat Williams joining us here from Orlando. Tell me a little bit about the design, because I'm fascinated by that. I kind of like, since I'm a Tampa guy, I kind of like to plop that whole thing right down in Ybor City, which is what the Rays had a translucent roof design back in 2018, 2019, which they should have done the deal then. It was a lot cheaper than that. They'd be up and running right now in Ybor. But Stu Sternberg, and I've been very outspoken about this. I think the impediment for this whole thing here in Tampa Bay has been the owner, Stu Sternberg. Had he paid half the ticket in 2018, 2019, that stadium would be up and running, and the Rays would be off and running, and they'd be in an even better position they are now, in a much better location than in St. Petersburg. And now they're facing building. Now they could get more public money in St. Petersburg, but it's still a failed location, Pat. It's a terrible location. It's a great city. We love St. Petersburg, and it doesn't need a baseball stadium, quite frankly. It needs a convention center. That would be a much better expenditure of the money, in my opinion, as to building a baseball stadium. That's a failed location on the edge of the market, surrounded by water. It's just, and Tampa is so much closer to Orlando, as you mentioned yesterday. Could be an hour 10, depending on what side you're on. Although I'll take a little umbrage. I do I-4 a lot. So my point is, the St. Pete thing to me is a disaster. If they go forward with that, with the public money there, Tampa, I think, is a better idea. But I love the design that you put out there for your translucent roof. Tell me a little bit about the design.
Well, JP, in Florida, we know this. You've got to have a cover. We have a lot of rain. We have a lot of threats of rain. We have a lot of thunderstorms, and it's hot and humid. That's the one plus of the Trop.
Yep.
You know the game's going to happen, and you're going to be comfortable.
Yes.
You're not going to be miserable in the heat and humidity. That's the one plus. And so we obviously have to have that here. Plus, we figured out, and the cost of a roof, that you can open and close, is about $200 million. But if it's going to be closed most of the time, why do you need a roof that you can open and close?
Exactly.
It's closed most of the time. And now they've come up with different kinds of roofs. The one that they've done for us is, well, you can see right through it. So you don't really feel you're indoors. You look up and you can see the sun, or you can see the thunderstorm, or you can see the stars. If you want to have a fireworks display, you can see that. So that's a real plus, we think. So, and it's a fairly new design. Plus, we wanted fans to come early and do all sorts of fun things, and that's under a roof as well. So, I think it's worked out quite well. You got to pay for all that, though,
right? And
it's not cheap. We have one advantage here, and that's the resort tax dollars, the bed tax. 30 million plus a month. And that's what 80 million tourists will do for you.
Yeah.
And that's how So much of this stuff gets built over here. The Magic Arena, the Performing Arts Center, football stadium, convention center, and so there's a lot of this tax money has built up, and now the county mayor wants to distribute it in a fair way, and so we've got to go sell our case. There'll be other requests for that money, and we feel we've got to make a compelling case for a ballpark. So we've got a lot of bobbing and weaving to get through over here yet.
And Pat, I'll ask you this too. For people out there who are going maybe that, Orlando's not a baseball market. For people who say that, what is your sort of pitch? Like, sell it to everybody that might be on that side of the spectrum. And just from speaking with maybe the citizens of Orlando, what is the interest level there for an MLB team?
Well, we feel it's terrific. Way back when we first got into this, we had a press conference and said, Orlando, we need to hear from you. Do you want to go forward with this? Do you want to try and get a Major League Baseball team? And within less than a month, we had over 12,000 people who had responded. That's now up over 13,000 and growing. And so we came back a month later and said, Orlando, we've heard your voice. Let's go for it. Then COVID hit and shut everything down, including our effort here. But that's over, and we're up and running, and we feel Orlando has spoken loud and clear that they want to be a baseball city. We're now the 17th largest media market in North America, and rising. We're going to catch Denver soon, and Detroit, and Minneapolis, St. Paul, and with no end in sight. There are 1,000 people a day moving here in all four directions, of course, in the center part of the state. And so we feel we can be a very, very good baseball market. Just do the math. Let's say we get to 100 million visitors in the next 5 years. Might 2% of them want to go to a ball game? See Dreamland Field? 2%. Well, if that's the case, that's 2 million people. And if we can't draw another million from citizens, well, we shouldn't be doing this.
Right. Yeah.
So if my math is right, that's 3 million people. Only about 6 baseball teams do that. So we think we could be a pretty special market.
That is a compelling case, no doubt, for that, and we'd love for you to get an expansion team. But if that did not happen, Pat, and I'm here because I was going to ask you, you keep talking about how to pay for it. There's that bed tax, but then you have another 700 million, 800 million. I guess you would expect the team to pay for that. I don't know how willing the Rays would be to shell out that kind of money. We haven't seen that willingness from Stu Sternberg, certainly. You would need an owner, obviously, to pay the $1.5 to $2 billion expansion fee in addition to building the team. And I noticed there wasn't a whole lot of political support at the presentation, and I know you've answered some of those questions. So how do you get around the funding? How do you approach the funding? And where are the city leaders, Buddy Dwyer and Demings and all those? And do you have an owner in mind, somebody who's got those kind of deep pockets?
Well, we got to find that owner. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
That's the one missing piece here, and we have interviewed numbers of potential owners, and a wide range of very, very interesting people, and we continue that process. We got to find the right owner. Not only one who has the wealth to do this, but also who would be accepted by baseball. It's a pretty exclusive club, those 30 owners or 32 owners. and baseball is very picky about who they let in the club.
Yes.
So that's the ongoing process now. Can we find that right person to be our owner? We're working hard on that.
All right. One last thing, Pat, if I can. If you weren't able to get this done, I believe the best thing for baseball in the Tampa Bay area is to have it on the Tampa side to make it more accessible for the folks of Orlando. I think it's a key piece to the puzzle. The Bright Line train obviously is coming in. The station is built already in Orlando. They have the train to Miami, soon to be coming to Tampa. I think that could be a great generator here. We would love to have some of that bed tax money if you want to send it this way to help out Hillsborough County if you don't get it done. Because I do think it's a regional asset. I think the Rays are a regional asset. If we could build that stadium that they proposed in 2018 right there in Ybor City, I think it's a home run. I think it's because the I-4 corridor, as you know, Pat, is going to be, one of the fastest growing. It already is. And it'll be probably add another 2 million people in the next 10 to 15 years. So to me, it's an absolute home run to get this thing done in Tampa, and we need the support of Orlando as well. And those same people can drive that train right back to Orlando to go see the Orlando Magic play in Orlando City. I know this isn't what you want. You'd rather have your own team. But if that weren't to come to fruition, how can we get Orlando to join us with this group in Tampa?
Well, they're not going to join financially.
Right, I know. It was worth a shot there.
That can't happen. It's not going to happen. And on the other hand, here's another way to look at it. As Orlando and Tampa continue to grow, and almost, I don't know, 10 years from now, do they join somewhere as one big market in Lakeland? I don't know. Yes. But I will say this. How about the NBA and Major League Baseball in Orlando, and the NFL and the NHL in Tampa, and soccer in both cities?
Yeah,
and pickleball is coming.
Padel. I'll be doing a Padel event this weekend, Pat, in Tampa.
Pickleball is coming to Orlando.
Yeah.
Does that you could argue that that way the four sports are covered, 2 in Tampa, 2 in Orlando.
Well,
just another way to look at it. So let's put it this way, JP. A lot of unanswered questions.
Yes, indeed there is, and a
lot of unanswered questions, and we will soon see.
Yeah.
But just from afar, well, let me put it this way. This tourist tax, this bed tax.
Yeah.
We take in 1 month what Hillsborough County does in a whole year.
Yeah.
We take in 2 months what Pinellas County takes in a whole year. And so, and I don't think over yonder they can merge those 2 counties. And here's another issue. Our beloved Phillies in Clearwater.
Mm-hmm.
They want $300 million to update and redo their whole minor league complex.
I know.
And the Phillies have been such a long-standing partner in Clearwater. So I think 1947.
Yeah.
And they have to be taken care of.
Yep.
That's a whole other wild card here. And of course, Clearwater is right in the middle of Pinellas County.
Yep.
So you got to keep your eye on that one.
Yep. All right, Pat. Always great to chat with you. Go ahead.
Call anytime, JP. Lots of moving parts here.
Yes, absolutely.
And, it's a big jigsaw puzzle as I see it.
Yeah.
And eventually all the pieces in the puzzle have to be put in place here, and we'll see how it plays out.
Pat, thanks so much for joining us as always. We love you, man. I wish you the best of luck. I don't want you to take our raise. If you get an expansion team, that's fantastic. But good luck with that. If anybody can do it, it's you, my friend. So congratulations on the announcement and good luck in the endeavor.
Thanks, JP. Call anytime.
You got it. The great Pat Williams right there. The man who brought an NBA, big time sports to Orlando. Well, Nick, you're a long time Orlando. Well, not a long time, but a few years Orlando resident. You know it well better than I. What are your thoughts on his case of Orlando as a baseball city?
Yeah, I think the big thing there, the whole 17th largest market in the U.S. and it's the largest market without a baseball team. Like, I get the reasoning there. But I think the thing that's being lost a little bit is just because you're a big market doesn't mean you're a baseball market. And I think that's where my biggest question mark is I don't see that demand for baseball in Orlando. That's just me personally. And I know Pat has done a lot more research and he mentioned, 13,000 people coming forward. I mean, I tend to think I'd want that number to be a lot higher from Orlando citizens than 13,000. There's nothing really to work with, I think, with 13,000 at the moment. And tourists, I mean, I understand 100 million people coming to Orlando. You get 2% of that. You get that want to go to a baseball game. But how many people are, again, that's the question. How many people are really coming to Orlando as a tourist to go to a baseball game? It's not one of those things that baseball to me is hard enough to market as it is. And even though the game, I think, is in a lot better shape this year with the pace of play and things like that, I just don't know how you're going to get a bunch of people to go see a baseball game when they're definitely coming to go to Disney. They're going to Universal and SeaWorld and all these other places. What they do have going for them, I guess, is the location of the ballpark. Because I mentioned already that I think a lot of people that think they're going to Orlando on vacation don't actually end up going to Orlando because they're just going to the resorts, which is not Orlando. So you put the location there off I-4 kind of near where Disney is and near a Universal, and it's in their path. They see this big thing, right?
Right.
This big translucent stadium. Dreamland, I think is what he called it, right?
Right.
You see that, maybe you go, oh, what is that? Oh, it's a baseball team. Well, that place looks cool. And if it's affordable, right? I mean, I guess you could make it work. But like he said, there's still too many unanswered questions. And I don't know when we're going to get answers or if there even really is good answers to come from those questions.
Yeah, he brought up a lot of great points. I really don't think the Rays are in play. I think MLB definitely wants to keep them here in Tampa. And with that the case, it just becomes a geographic thing, right? Is Nashville a better spot on the East Coast? Is it a more thriving market? There's no question. And the fact that so much of his attendance projections are baked into tourism, we've never seen that, right? We've never seen that play out as a effective attendance strategy, at least not to my knowledge. I mean,
and I was going to ask, and that's a good point, is Major League Baseball the type of sport that would be proactive and looking at that and being, oh, that's so outside the box, let's try it.
Right.
Is Major League Baseball the right sport for something like that? For that,
I guess you got to look at Vegas, right? Like Vegas, you bring football to Vegas. We don't have long-term numbers yet for football in Vegas, right? But it seems like they're getting a lot of people coming to Vegas as a road team, right? They're constantly going to all the casinos, buy up tickets for their customers to come in and stay at their resorts and go to the game, right? I think that seems to work. I think that's a good model. The hockey team is selling out, right? They're good. They have a great arena. Is that mostly tourists going to these games or is that the locals going to it? So I think we're seeing in some ways that has worked in Vegas. And would that work in Orlando? I think there's a pretty strong chance it would. Because like you said, you see the iconic thing, you're flying in, you see this humongous translucent, yeah. I mean, I want to go. And when you look at the fact that a Disney ticket is about $150 a day per person, right? Mm-hmm. I think, Dad's going to look at this and go, hey, let's take one of the days we're in Orlando and go to the baseball game. If you make the tickets affordable, $20, $25, you can bring your family there for $150 instead of, doing a 100,000 trip to Disney.
Yeah.
That could be appealing.
And the other thing too that he said at the end, and I'm completely against it, and I have the feeling most people would, is I don't like the idea of let's just split the pro teams and put half of them in Tampa and put half of them in Orlando and almost have this like one giant regional community. I don't view it that way. I think 100 miles apart from the two places or 80 miles, whatever it is,
It's a little much.
that's a little bit of a distance in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that's a tough pill to swallow for people in Tampa to have to lose a team and then say, "Oh, but they're in Orlando," right?
Yeah.
How many people from Tampa want to go to Orlando? We've had this discussion already. Nobody from Tampa really wants to go to St. Pete. It's hard
Right.
enough there, so I don't see how Orlando would work in that equation, and I just don't view the two cities. I've never viewed them, even though they're apart from one highway. I've never viewed them in lockstep together. They seem like completely two different entities. So I can tell you right now, I don't like that idea.
Listen, I think eventually it will grow together, just like South Florida from, Biscayne Bay to Jupiter now is one large city. It does not stop. There are no waste areas in between. The same thing is going to be in 10 years on I-4 between, but that doesn't mean the two cities are conjoined. It does not mean that they are one. So I would agree with that. Look, I think it's a complete overthink, to be honest with you. This team belongs in downtown Tampa, and it's not close. It's not close. We don't need to go through all the demographics and all those other things. It's coming down to money, and Stu wants to make the best deal for him. And what we need to be cognizant of as a region is what's the best deal for Tampa going forward for the next 30, 35 years. And Pat knows this, that it's, and he even mentioned it. It's better sourced on the Tampa side. And Tampa does have money. Their bed tax money, I think, has doubled in the past year, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years. So they've got bed tax money. They've got money to spend. But the leadership, it's from the city side, Jane Castor, has been absolutely none. Nilch. I mean, zilch. She's really done nothing proactive. She's answered questions, but has done very little proactive to help get the raise here. Ken Hagan has been out front for the county all along. And frankly, the county commission is the one that's going to put this deal together. We haven't heard much from them. And of course, in St. Pete, they're doing all the negotiations in secret, which I think is an abomination. It's exactly what Stu wants to happen. And they're playing along in lockstep, like, of course, we knew they would. So I think, look, he makes a compelling case for Orlando, but it's not a better case than Tampa. It's just not. The stadium would be cheaper. The stadium would be better located in Tampa. There's no, strategy that maybe the tourists will come and fill up our stadium because it's just Orlando people. I don't think it would survive, to be quite honest. So, but I just think there's too many questions, whereas the best bet is in downtown Tampa. No question about it. All right. I will leave you to this as I go do the CEO Council roundtable with Jason Light, Eric Neander, and Julian Brisebois. I've got my Avengers script here ready to go. So we'll introduce our superheroes in that way, and we'll bring a lot of that roundtable discussion to you tomorrow and next week as well. So we'll take a break. We'll come back, and Nick and Sean will take over. They're going to do a lot of Bucs stuff. They'll do some more Orlando stuff. I'm sure they'll be entertaining you the rest of the way. Stay with us.
This is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on a Thursday. You heard him, JP, going off to do a very fun thing, sitting down with the 3 pillars, if you will, of Tampa Bay from an executive general manager standpoint: Jason Licht of the Bucks, Julian Breezeball, the Lightning, and Eric Neander of your 29-9 Tampa Bay Rays. So excited to bring you some sound from that. But we got 1 more hour to go here, and we're bringing in Sean Green. If you recall, he joined us a few weeks back for most of the week. He's our fill-in here with JP's not here, and I definitely wanted to get you on today, Sean. And first of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, I popped in at the perfect time to hear some of that Orlando conversation.
I figured, yeah. I was looking at your facial reactions there a little bit.
Yeah, I was definitely smiling. I consider myself an Orlando expert on things, and I consider you guys Tampa experts. So, do I disagree with some of the stuff that was said? Absolutely, but I'm sure we'll get into it at some point.
We're going to get into it now because I want to just hit it right ahead, because we just had Pat Williams on for about 25 minutes there, and trying to explain to us why he believes Orlando is in line for a baseball team. And I'll recap just really quickly some of the things he said. It's the 17th largest media market in the U.S. and growing, the largest media market in the United States without a baseball team. I asked him a lot, and this was my big concern, was what's the demand for a baseball team in Orlando? And he said that he's gotten, I think, 13,000 people, I think, and growing, that have expressed interest. And then he mentioned 100 million tourists coming to Orlando. And if you get 2% of that want to go to a baseball game, there's 2 million. And if you can get 1 million citizens, then now you have 3 million. And there's only 6 teams in Major League Baseball that have that number of reach. Right. So there was his explanation. So I will turn it over to you. First of all, what did you disagree with? And what do you think, somebody who lives in Orlando, born and raised, the demand for baseball in Orlando, what it is?
So here's the thing. As a sports fan, I'm indebted to Pat Williams for my entire life. I mean, I am a Magic fan first. He brought me my first love in my life, which is the Orlando Magic. Pat is a smart man. I know a lot of people that are good friends with him. I worked for the Orlando Magic. No, everybody has great things to say about Pat, and he is very smart and very smart about what he says. So when you talk about baseball in Orlando, 10 years ago, I would say it wouldn't work. Fans in Orlando are very specific about what they go to get their sports. The Magic, the bad years, you would be surprised. There are still a good amount of fans in the stands. Now, some people say, oh, it's other teams. But last year, the Magic had one of the highest attended seasons in recent history. You could say that's because of the first overall pick, but I say it's more notoriety to the team's more exciting to watch, and fans in Orlando see that. Orlando City, soccer, it's almost sold out every time. It's very well attended. People go. The population in Orlando, there's a lot of different people that live in Orlando, so that is attended well. If you were to put a baseball ballpark in the city of downtown, I would say it would not work. You would not get a lot of people going to the games. And if it was located in that area, I would say you might as well just scrap the idea. It would not work. The fact of where it is located, right behind Aquatica, right in front of the convention center, I agree with everything Pat Williams said. And I think it can work actually really well. Because yes, I understand the concern of you're relying on the tourist market. And I do understand that. And that's why I said for this baseball thing to work, it would need to have tourists come. And when it's in downtown, Nick, as you know, a lot of the Orlando tourist things to do are on I-Drive near Disney. It's about 20 minutes outside of downtown, 15, 20 minutes. With it being located where it's located, which is basically in the heart of everything going on in tourist part of Orlando, I think it would do massive numbers because it's not just the ballpark, right? It's hotels, which are needed in Orlando all the time. More cheaper hotels, more options for hotels, more restaurants. It wouldn't just be a ballpark. It'd be a place for people to come watch any sport they want on a big screen, stuff like that. I think it would be really great for Orlando. The question is the board going to approve the $975 million where the MLB has not given any assurances that a ballpark would or a team would be coming to Orlando? The worst thing you want is to approve almost $1 billion and then the MLB says we're going here or we're staying in Tampa, vice versa. So I personally think it would be a good move for Rays fans. I am not in the I want the Rays to move to Tampa to Orlando thing. I'm not in that group. I'm not in the let's steal them from Tampa. I agree. I think I would love the Rays to stay in Tampa, and I understand. I know I'm going on a tangent. I understand there's already 2 teams in Florida, right? I do understand that. But I do think the Tampa market and the Orlando market can be completely separate, and they can still get the people they want for that specific market. The Orlando tourist market is completely different than the Tampa Bay market. And you don't, like I said last month, you're not having a lot of Orlando people travel to Tampa for games. That's just the honest truth. Now, could that change if it was in Tampa Bay, if the stadium was in Tampa Bay? Maybe. But I think where it's located, if Orlando can get the bid when that comes up, whenever that comes up with the MLB, I would rather prefer that. But I also, listen, you never know with what happens with the Rays. So if they come to Orlando, great. But I would prefer Rays to stay in Tampa, and then Orlando gets a bid at some point.
Yeah, I would be absolutely shattered. I don't care that if Orlando is an hour, and Pat said it's an hour and 10 away from Tampa, and I don't honestly.
From the location of the new stadium, it would be about an hour and 10 minutes away.
Yeah, I've made that drive many times, my friend, and I don't think I've ever gotten to that area in an hour and 10, first of all. So I can't see it. But then again, I just went to a Rays game on Saturday from my home in Lithia, and it took me an hour and a half to get to Tropicana Field on a Saturday. So I don't know. That
the traffic part in Orlando, and me and you both, and I think most people that are watching this know, it's just when you hit Disney. Once you get past that Disney hellhole, it's smooth sailing. It's easy, but it's just that Disney part that makes you want to just do unspeakable things.
Yeah, a lot of things, a lot of questioning why I picked to go to that school in the first place.
Oh, jeez.
But no, I understand your points. I do, and I think there are good points for it. And the whole thing about 3 baseball teams in a state. Like, I think people look down on that, and even I kind of question that. Like, what's the point, especially when there's one that's, 80, 100 miles away, just west. But, there's other examples, and I know California is a much larger state when you go by miles stretching, so it's easier to spread it out a little bit. But there are 5 baseball teams in California as we speak. There are 2 at the moment, not for long. There are 2 at the moment that are separated by a bay, being the Giants and the A's, right? And Florida is probably one of the 5 biggest states in the entire United States, from whatever you want to look at there. So, I mean, there's maybe a third team I could see it working a little bit. But, I mean, I'll ask you the specific question again. And, I know you went on about the Magic in Orlando City. Have you seen the demand Are people around you talking about, oh, I can't wait to get a baseball team here? Like, is that a thing in Orlando?
So it's never a thing until somebody brings it up and it seems like it could potentially happen. Orlando is not the type of city to be like, oh, I really want this. It's more so if somebody brings it to the table and it looks like it could really work, it could, bring a passionate fan base to, people get excited. So no, I'll be honest. The last 5 years, it's not like people assumed, oh yeah, we really want a baseball team. To be completely honest, it's because, there's already 2 baseball teams in the state. It's more so like the NFL, right? It's like we as a community in Orlando know we're never getting a football team. That's just plain and simple, right?
Just totally take a crap on the Orlando Guardians, my friend. When you do that, it's funny. It's funny. Orlando finally got a football team that was really good in their league, the AAF, with the Apollos.
I worked for them.
I know you worked for the Apollos. You're very fond of the Apollos. And was it Garrett Grayson was his name, right?
Garrett Gilbert.
Quarterback. Garrett Gilbert. See, I don't even know his name. There you go. But that was working out, and that folds. And then you get the Orlando Guardians now, and you get put with the worst color set possible, ugly to watch the team play, and you get the worst team in the league that goes 1-9. So I think we should need to scrap football in Orlando altogether myself.
Yeah, the marketing team for the XFL needs to do some serious work on Orlando. But no, going back to baseball, I do think, and I understand the 3 baseball teams, I can understand where fans in the MLB look at that and say, attendance in Miami and Tampa has not been has not been good at all over the last X amount of years.
But it hasn't been done right in either city.
No, 100%. And you can make that argument too, right? I think with the right set of circumstances, the attendance can skyrocket. Like, again, you guys have clamored it. I think if a stadium was built in Tampa Bay, I think attendance would be great. Tampa. The thing with Orlando, and that's why I say I don't necessarily think that when people are saying Orlando can't work, it's not going to get a lot of attendance. I think it would do extremely well because what I've learned about Orlando is people just want to do things. And guess what? I think Pat Williams bringing up the extra area behind or in front of, the ballpark where people can chill and watch. I guarantee you a lot of the people that are going to these games are going to be doing that. Okay. They're going to go want to see a baseball game, but they just want to go hang out because that's Orlando. It's going, hanging out, not necessarily maybe caring about the game. Now it's different in the NBA. Like the Magic, a lot of the people don't really go to Amway to stroll. But I think in this case,
Nor should you.
Oh, no, 100%. You go to a game to watch the game. I know me and Nick share that same sentiment. But
it's mostly because there's nothing desirable about an arena, but continue.
Okay, well, that's, that hurts. But I think baseball could work really well in Orlando. I think the same question that everybody is asking is the same question that I'm asking. But I think if the MLB really considered it, I think it would be a great spot and great for the city, obviously, but great for the MLB too. I think you've got to bring a lot of new people to the game that are coming to Orlando to visit the theme parks, visit all that has to offer. But I think they would, if the tickets were cheap enough, they would go to a game when they're here in the city.
Okay, that's a good pitch. I heard you. It's a good pitch. And Pat did admit there's a lot of unanswered questions right now, and it's like a big jigsaw, and you got to put those together. You got to get an owner, and there's a lot of money.
Well, Nick, they released the Orlando Tourist Board, all of the people that are requesting money. Yeah. And that is the highest one at almost $1 billion. The Amway Center is asking for $300 million in renovations. So it's there's a lot of money on the table. And it's does the city really want to approve $1 billion for a baseball ballpark that is not, there's no team yet?
Yeah. And the other thing, St. Pete kind of did the same thing. And I've told you that when we had our discussions earlier this week about this, that St. Pete built a ballpark having no assurance that a major league team was going to come there. And it sat there for 5 or 6 years being unused, basically. Just this mausoleum just sitting in the middle of St. Pete, unused. And they got passed over during 2 expansions before they finally were awarded the team there in the mid-90s. So there is a precedent set there for that. And the other thing Pat did say, and it's a good point, I'm not going to lie, if one of these 2 teams is going to come from the eastern side of the United States, the big players we thought were Nashville, Charlotte, and Montreal. And he said it, and it's kind of true. Charlotte's not really doing anything right now. You're hearing nothing from Charlotte in their interest. Montreal, the big hurdle there, does Major League Baseball want to go back down that route? And that's a big question that I tend to say the answer is no on that. And I believe you'd have to get a stadium built in Montreal as well, if I'm not mistaken. And then Nashville, I thought was the logical place to put it. But as Pat mentioned, look at all the money they're dealing out to get a new stadium for football with the Titans. So now can you convince everybody else in Nashville, hey, thank you for the multi-billion-dollar football stadium. How about we get a multi-billion-dollar baseball stadium now? That's probably a hard sell in Nashville. So when you kind of look at it, I guess there is a path, I guess you could say, for Orlando to come in. And we'll see. As long as my final thing on it, as long as you don't take my beloved Rays, I don't really give a rip what you do with it. Just don't take my Rays.
That's the thing. I don't think, like, I know Pat is saying, you know, it'd be, if the Rays want to come, we'll accept them. And I understand that. I'm more thinking about the expansion factor, because at the end of the day, I don't think the Rays are moving, and I don't want the Rays to move. I know how important it is to Tampa. I love how, you know, you love your Rays and you don't want them leaving, especially to come to Orlando. It would bring me great joy, but I don't want to see you hurting. I want expansion. And we texted in our group chat the other day, and I said, this is a possibility. And I know our mutual friend said 5%. I said, it's a lot more than 5%. And he thinks Nashville is 100%, but like Pat mentioned and you brought up, like, yeah, they're building a brand new stadium for the Titans, which is great. But Orlando, being the tourist spot it is, people are more inclined to shell out money for new and exciting experiences around the city. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. It's many years away, obviously, and we'll see. This thing might get declined next month. They might not even shell out the money in Orlando. So this thing might be dead before it even starts. But with Pat Williams behind it, he's got a lot of great people in the city that love him and want to see what he, thinks of succeed. So I'd be shocked, but that is a lot of money for a stadium that could be empty for many years.
It is. I'll put up Richie's comment here. I think this is Rays go to Orlando. I'm done with baseball forever.
Richie, you'd go to the stadium once. You'd go to that new ballpark, and you'd be like, okay, I can make it down here.
Well, I will say this. Like, I don't want the Rays to go to Orlando, but is my fandom going to go away completely? Hell no. Hell no. I mean, if the Rays had gone to Montreal, for example, when that was a thing, if they had gone to Montreal, listen, it's the same players, it's the same team per se. I would have been a Montreal whatever fan, right? That probably would have been how it turned out. But obviously, I don't want that to happen. Absolutely not. And there's so many good vibes around the Rays right now, as you know, with this start that they're on. So it would be a killer. But like you said, Major League Baseball is not letting the Rays out of this market. It's just, this is too big of a market. The baseball heritage here is too rich, in my opinion, and I'll continue to say that until somebody will listen outside of this state. So yeah, we'll wrap up there with that. But thank you for your intel from the Orlando side, because I know you're very tuned into what's going on up there. Let's transition a little bit to some NFL. Some NFL talk, Sean, because, I mean, we're getting NFL fever. We started off the show a little bit. It's like it's May, and we're itching. We're itching for the NFL. We had the draft. Now we have mini camps opening up around the league. We heard, all the Bucs coordinators, including new offensive coordinator Canales, spoke yesterday. There's a lot of excitement, a little bit, maybe cautious excitement is what I'll call it, surrounding this football team in Tampa Bay. And Dave Canales kind of highlighted that a little bit yesterday. Sean, I don't know if you've heard Dave Canales talk, but he makes you want to put on the pads and go out there. He really does. So I love him a lot so far, even though he hasn't even called a single play. One of the things he did talk about yesterday was the new look offensive line for your Buccaneers. So let's listen in on his thoughts here, because we know how that line was last year. It's got to be much better this year. So here's what Canales had to say about that new look offensive line.
Left side, and when Jansen was here, those three guys next to each other, it's pretty impressive, that side of it. And then the depth of guys who have had to play. You had Hainsey who had to play. You got Nick Leverett, who's played as a starter for us. Like, we have so much depth and experience. Luke getting a shot to get back at right tackle, and it's early, to make any decisions on what all is going to happen. But I feel really encouraged with the guys we have. And then, of course, I didn't even mention Cody Mock and just the explosiveness and athleticism he has when he gets in there, too. So I'm excited about the group and knowing what we want to do offensively. I think we're going to have a really great shot at doing that.
Yeah, and I for the most part, I echo everything he says there about having more are able to start on the line, given the experience like a Hainsey and a Leverett got. I'm still, and I know it's early, they're just penciling something in for May. Matt Filer being the de facto starting left guard on day one, given the way Nick Leverett played last year for this team, rubs me the wrong way just a little bit. I know it's May, and it's just a preliminary depth chart, if you will, but I think Nick Leverett deserved a shot there rather than having to be in a three-man committee at right guard. But Matt Filer is 330 pounds. He's a lot bigger than Nick Leverett, and he said it right there. When you put him, Wirfs, and Jensen next to each other on that left side of the line, it is a sight to behold, and we know this team needs to run the football. So, Sean, I'll just get your take there on Canales talking about that offensive line and how important that's going to be for the Bucs to be a much better team this year.
Well, that's probably need number one, is that line to be better. And I think everybody knows that. With the quarterback situation going into this year, you would assume Baker's the starter, and that means probably getting out of the pocket a lot more. So it's going to be a different offense in the way that, again, no need to beat it with a drum, but Tom stayed in the pocket. Baker's going to try and do stuff with his feet. So with that offensive line, listen, it's May 11th. The only thing that I have, when offensive coordinators in DC start talking about these guys, Nick, right? Like, we don't play until September.
Yep. You had a lot of time to fill until then. With stuff.
Lot of time. You might think this O-line is so good, and then you hit September and Baker's getting sacked 8 times, and you're like, okay, we were talking in May that this offensive line is going to be great, and it stinks. So that's my only problem with anything said in May. Like, there is so much time, and with how bad the line was last year, injuries played a part in that as well. But with the line and how they were last year, to see what they could do this year, it's really only going up from here. But I would take everything with a grain of salt until we actually see something on the field that shows that, okay, this offense, this line is going to work perfect for this year.
Yeah, and he said that, sometimes you think you have the right combination, and then guys get hurt or somebody's not working out. And he's had years where he's had to work with teams that have 5 or 6 different line variations, if you will, because it's just very hard to predict and get that cohesiveness. So I guess you take everything with a grain of salt at the moment. I'm just a big Nick Leverett fan in general. I love his story as an undrafted free agent and how he played last year in tough situations. So, but you know what? If he's good enough, he'll win out that job. And he's got to go with Cody Mauch. And it's kind of what T. Knowles said here. If they can get the right side of the line figured out, the Bucs will have a nasty O-line, especially if Mauch can figure out right guard, which I want to see, because this is the second year in a row the Bucs have gone smaller tackle in college, small school, trying to now move them 3 spots down the line. They did it with Gedeke, who was a right tackle at Central Michigan, and slid him all the way to left guard, and he was a disaster. And now they have him back at his natural right tackle position. Thank goodness for that. Hopefully he holds up well there. And now Mauch, who was a left tackle at North Dakota State, has got to slide all the way back down the line, and he's in a competition for right guard. I know he's nasty. I'm sure you've seen this guy, Sean. He looks like Ryan Jensen. He's wearing number 69. It's absolutely perfect for the way this guy looks. So
I love his smile, if we're being honest. I just love the smile.
I love the fact, and I'm one of those people that's like skeptical on the pick a little bit at the moment. But I love the fact that I think his teeth, this whole thing happened in like 2018, and he's had 5 years to fix it. And he's like, no, I'm not fixing it. No, I'm not fixing it. I'm going to make the other guy across the line from me look at me like that. I'm going to do it. And
feels like a hockey. He feels like a hockey guy.
He was made for the NHL playoffs, might I add. He was made for the NHL playoffs, but it's a Jason liked pick. I mean, he loves these guys from small schools and that look. And I like my offensive line to look like that. When they signed Ryan Jensen, I looked at him and I said, "Yep, that's what I want my offensive line to look like."
Again, as a Patriots fan, my offensive line basically has looked like that for however many years. We get guys that are undrafted or late round picks, and they end up being our starters for years. So the Bucs line, T. Knowles has a point. It is the right side of the line that is the big question mark. I think obviously there are questions on the left side, but there's a lot less questions.
Yeah,
You
and
feel way more confident.
Shaq Mason's a loss. We said this yesterday. Shaq Mason was a cap casualty, unfortunately, and he just got the bag, by the way, with Houston. Congratulations to him. But he's a loss. He's a loss that nobody's really talking about. Like, that's a solid guy that I don't really have to worry about at right guard. So it is a question mark on this team, one of a few that I have for them this season. But in this division, I mean, I think it's a race to get to 8. It's a race to get to 8 potentially this year. And I think there's nothing really to me that's differentiating most of these 4 teams, honestly. I know everybody's got Derek Carr and the Saints penciled in.
They haven't really done anything this offseason besides get Derek Carr.
Yeah, all they did was bring in Derek Carr. They got an aging core on defense. They've lost some players from that defense as well, like Davenport and Onyemata and such. I don't think they're going to be this 10-11 win football team just because Derek Carr's there, personally. So
I will say the Saints, in the long run, like in the next 5 years, they've set themselves up to be pretty much the worst team in the division. Like, they're trying to win now, and that is the wrong thing to do. Like, every other team in the division is smart and like, okay, we're building for the future. Like, we know this is not the year that matters. It's 4 years down the line. The Saints are the only team that are like, we'll win the division this year and then see what happens.
Yeah, they're still employing Michael Thomas, right? They still employ him, and he has some crazy cap hit next year. I don't know what they're going to do about that, and I don't really care, to be honest. I hope it straps them. And then Kamara, I'm pretty sure, is probably going to end up getting suspended. Like, this whole thing's been delayed. He could have gotten suspended 6 games last year. I'm sure it's going to come this year, the 6-game suspension. They drafted the rookie running back, Andre Miller, in the 3rd round, but it's not Alvin Kamara now, is it? And they struggled to use him, by the way, last year in that offense to his fullest capabilities. And they have issues at head coach, I think, with Dennis Allen, much like the Bucs do with Todd Bowles. So, yeah, I think we're kind of in lockstep there. I don't think this division is completely New Orleans. Also, too, going around today, we're going to get the full schedule release later today. But obviously, there's been leaks coming out. The one that I know of, last time that I checked, the Bucs are going to play the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau in December. Ugh. The Bucs have avoided having to play any really cold games, super cold games their last few years. That's going to change. Having to go to Green Bay. Now, these aren't your grandpapa's Green Bay Packers. These aren't your dad's Green Bay Packers without Aaron Rodgers. A little different, but that will definitely be a challenge as we see if any other leaks will come out today. We did get the big one today, Bo, and this is surprising, Sean. Can we pump the brakes on the Detroit Lions? Can we just and listen? I love the Lions. I love the Lions. I mean, they're the ultimate sneaky wild card, I guess, if you will, around the NFL and definitely in the NFC. But we're putting a little bit too much on them here. Terrible. They're playing in the opening game on that Thursday night against the Chiefs in Kansas City. The Lions.
Yeah.
The Lions. Who said this was a good idea?
I think I know why the NFL did it. It's stupid, but like, it's going to be a lot of points. I mean, a lot of points are going to be scored, and that's clearly what they want. But it is a dumb opening. It really doesn't matter.
Weird, like the Lions against the Chiefs.
Yeah,
the season opener. Like we're just throwing it all out there. The Lions are apparently up here.
And here's the thing. I think the Lions, like, it's between the Lions and the Vikings to win that division. I think the Lions have a really good shot. I like the Lions this year. I like their coach. Campbell's a G. I like their team. To put them up against the Chiefs in their first game and open the season with that, I mean, the line is probably 14. Like, straight up. Like, it's unfair to put that as the first game. And I'll be honest, like, as a game to like make me want to tune in on a Thursday night, like we're hardcore football fans, right? So we'll probably tune in anyway because we just want to watch it. To the average football fan, I'm sorry, I don't know if that gets me excited like to watch on a Thursday night. You know what I mean? Like the Lions haven't hit that point yet where it's like, oh, I got to go watch Jared Goff sling the football. You know,
well, because I've been so accustomed to seeing Super Bowl rematches.
Yeah,
usually in the first weekend of the season, or you get 2 of the best teams in the league. The Lions did not make the playoffs last year. That's the point. That is the point. I don't care what the Lions are projected to be. Who, by the way, the draft. I mean, first of all, the Lions had the most peculiar draft I think I've ever seen in the first round, having 2 premium picks and taking the 2 least important positions with those premium picks. So I don't know. Then they trade DeAndre Swift. He's nothing to us. He's nothing. That's fine. We'll just go. Let's just make the rich get richer. Can we stop trading with the Philadelphia Eagles, please? Can we stop doing it? So, yeah, it's just a weird opening game, really. I don't mean to go on a Lions tangent here, but it's just interesting decision by the NFL. The other one, I think they got this right because I love storylines and I love drama. I love this. The New England Patriots are hosting and honoring Mr. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. He's coming back to Foxborough. Now you can have him back after a nice 3 years here in Tampa Bay. Sean, I know you're so excited about that. But guess who the Patriots are playing in that home opener?
Dolphins, probably. Yeah, Dolphins.
The Miami Dolphins.
Whatever.
This is perfect. This is perfect.
You know, the thank you Tom game is what they're calling it. And, you know, it's the start. According to Robert Kraft, it's the start of the festivities, probably that are going to go on for the next 50 years to say thank you to Tom Brady. It's so funny because like I can just envision Tom like running out the tunnel with the guys, just like, but on the other end, he was probably going to play for the Dolphins. So it's like this weird, like, we love you, Tom, but you were going to go play for them. So I'll take him. I'm good. I'm not mad at Tom anymore. He's back in New England. I'm happy that we're getting some form of I don't even know what it's going to entail, but I'm glad we're getting it.
I mean, is this a jersey retirement? Like, I mean, what is this?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's a lot. Like, if we're being completely honest, it's probably like automatic into the Hall of Fame for the Pats Hall of Fame, jersey retirement. He's getting a halftime thing. Oh. So I don't hate it. I know we're going to lose. I mean, we're going to lose the first game. So that's going to suck. But, you know, I'm just happy that it got announced and Robert Kraft is still getting Tom to come on down to cold Boston instead of staying in Florida all the time.
Tampa Bay Tom was infinitely more enjoyable than New England Tom. And I don't think anybody is going to disagree with that statement. Other than you Boston people.
You know, I did just watch the 80 for Brady thing. You know, I'm like, you know what, I'll watch this. You know, support my guy. Trying to get into movies now. He should stay on the Fox $350 million deal. He's
not calling one game for Fox.
I know he's not, but let's not do this movie thing. Or if you're doing movies, let's make them nothing to do with anything football related, or you know, just try to find interesting people because that movie stunk. That was a hard watch.
I can't believe you actually went out of your way to see that.
If I'm being honest, I skimmed it.
And I'm out.
I lied. I skimmed it. I skimmed it to the Patriots parts with the Super Bowl, and but besides that, it was a hard watch. And then at the end where they did the Brady. Oh no, sorry for the spoilers, fans, but they did like
nobody's watching this movie. You're good.
Oh, facts. They did all the women were wearing like Bucks and Pats like split, and I'm like, that's just gross. Like if you're gonna do it, just wear a Bucks jersey. Like what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Yeah, that'll be fun to see. I mean, I joke all the time, but Tom is a Patriot. It's like the world almost coming right back to full circle. So I feel
like everybody's forgotten he played for the Bucks.
Forgotten he played for the Bucks?
Literally, I think people don't. It's like, from everything I see, it's like, oh, the Bucks are back to where they're supposed to be in a way.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're apparently the second worst team in the league now, and it's because Brady's gone. Even though we have 11 Pro Bowlers on the roster and a few All Pros, and we're young. Tom leaves, and we're just back to being the same old Bucks. I get it.
You'll get talk. Baker will get some morning show talking points at some point.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if the Bucks will even get a primetime game because this is the first year in a while where not every team's guaranteed to get a primetime. By the way, the Packers have 5 of them with Jordan.
Oh, that's god awful.
But it's eyeballs. There's a lot of Packers. I understand that to an extent. Also, the Jets. Aaron Rodgers' debut is on Monday Night Football on September 11th against the Buffalo Bills. So that'll be a fun one as well for Monday night, which needs some juice to it. There's been no juice on Monday Night Football for a long time. But let's see if the Bucks get a primetime game. I think like Baker, to me, like I could see like a Monday night game against New Orleans. I feel like they do that a lot.
Well, do y'all play the Browns? I don't even know the schedule.
No, we do not play the Browns.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah, I guess. But I could see a Saints Bucks Monday night, maybe a Thursday night or whatever.
Monday night, I could see you guys getting a Monday night.
Probably just one game. Probably just one primetime game, if anything, for the Bucks. I think at the moment. But again, the Bucks typically don't play well in primetime, so I'm not really that bothered by it.
Yeah, there you go.
So
a lot of 1 o'clock games.
Oh goodness, Richie said, Sean, you are so Orlando, born and raised, but rooting for the Patriots. I'm sure you will be the guy with the Red Sox jersey when they play the Dreamers.
First of all, I hope Pat, love you, but we need to change the name if we get approved.
That name sucks.
That name
sucks.
It's bad.
Magic is already pushing it enough. Dreamers, we've gone overboard.
Yeah, Dreamers is bad. So if we get approved, we need to change that right away. But no, I'm an Orlando guy. The Patriots is a long story, and I'm not going to say it on this program, but I would be rooting for the Dreamers, 100%. Again, hopefully the name's changed.
Wow, that's interesting. You would be rooting for the Dreamers of your beloved Sox. Interesting. And Boston has disowned you for that take.
It would be a thing of if the Dreamers suck and we don't make the playoffs. For example, when the Magic are out of the playoffs, I support the Celtics. I support the Boston teams. But obviously Orlando goes first. Now in baseball, I'm not, I support the Rays. But, if Boston's in the World Series, I'm going for Boston, man.
Okay. We'll leave you with that take. Let's hit a break here. It's been a while. We just went about 40 minutes there. Absolutely blew through the break. So let's pay some of those bills and we'll come back and we'll get into some of the action we saw last night in the NBA. Yes, we will, because I'm so glued in on this Lakers-Warriors series. Even if you're not a huge fan of the NBA, you have to understand this is such a big deal, what is going on here in the NBA right now, which these second round of the playoffs have been a little patchy. I'm going to be a little bit honest. So we'll get into that and some of the other stuff around the league and some other stories as well here as we wrap up on a Thursday. Back in 3.
Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue. That's my carrier. Love them. Paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244.
Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by. Never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Tell them JP sent you. Get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on a Thursday. JP off to do a nice panel with Jason Like, Julian Breeze-Baugh, Eric Ander. As a reminder, we will bring you some good sound from that tomorrow and on Monday as well. Should be fun. Sean Green staying with us here as we got about 15 minutes here left in the show. Spent a lot of time talking today with about the MLB potentially going to Orlando. We had a great interview with Pat Williams. Encourage you to go check that out, and we'll get that up as a separate later on today as well. We talked Bucks, NFL, but let's transition a little bit because we got playoffs going on right now. And first note before we hit the NBA, because I know you're not much of an NHL guy, but I have to just, Panthers, what are you doing? I mean, we could have just put these freaking Maple Leafs away last night. We could have had the sweep. It could have been embarrassing, and you had to lay a stinker last night. Like not even 20 shots on goal. Complete no-show. Don't do that. Stop playing for the next game because you have the buffer of the 3. Just put them away. So there you go. But Toronto played their best game of the playoffs. They got a lucky bounce, of course, to get one goal. And they had to fight really hard for the other because Bob lost his stick and was still recovering and missed a shot. So was it really that impressive from Toronto? I don't think so. So Panthers, please get your head back on straight and put these Maple Leafs away. So that's all I'll say about the NHL last night. Oh, and the Oilers, blew out the Knights too. That happened. Late game, did not see much of that. What I was watching later, because that was such a blowout, I tuned into the NBA because I was like, LeBron's playing, Curry's playing, the Warriors, Lakers are playing. Got to tune into this. The Lakers a chance to put the Warriors away and go to the Western Conference Final, and they laid a stinker. And Sean, I'm concerned about the Lakers now. Yeah. I thought if they were going to get out of this series, they needed to put them away here before Golden State gets this to a point where they can get this back for a Game 7. And now I have a little bit I didn't like what I saw from the Lakers last night. And of course, Anthony Davis. Now, this wasn't really one of those typical Anthony Davis injuries. He got an elbow to the head, and it seemed like he had a hard time. I think they said they had to take him out in like a wheelchair or something off the court after the game. So we'll find out later today what his status is. But if Anthony Davis is banged up and potentially can't play in Game 6, we'll see you in Game 7. And if it gets to Game 7, then Golden State, in my opinion, is moving on. But last night we saw contributions from Draymond Green, scoring 20 points. Who is that guy? Haven't seen that guy in a long time. Andrew Wiggins I thought he was the best player on the court for the Warriors, and that includes Steph Curry, who wasn't great yesterday by any means. So, Sean, I'll get your take on what you saw last night. Golden State getting contributions all up and down, which we haven't seen in this series.
You know, I never rooted for the Lakers in my lifetime, but I'm rooting for them in this series because, it's the same thing when the Pats were great, right? You want the big kahuna to just fall and to stop. And Golden State, the problem I have with Golden State is I will give them credit. They have built their team up to be this. They've built this team. They haven't bought this team. They've built this team. But I think it's just time. There's too many, I think they've gotten too big for their britches, specifically Draymond Green acting like they're untouchable. I think the series is over, to be completely honest with you. I think Golden State is going to win it. Just last night, they got what they needed. The Lakers, they looked all right in the first half. I mean, it was pretty close, pretty tight in the first half. But if any of your viewers do not watch the NBA, the first half does not matter, like one lick. It's all what happens in the second half. And in the second half, the Warriors just punched the Lakers in the mouth. If I'm being honest, even if Anthony Davis is healthy and does not have a concussion and is fine, I still think the Warriors are probably going to go out and win it. Momentum is everything in the playoffs. I think the Lakers had the momentum, and it's all overreactions every single time with the NBA playoffs. It's what have you done for me lately? So in this case, the Warriors won, so everybody's going to be overreacting, right? But I think in this case, you have the 4-time champs going in against the Lakers, who a lot of people did not expect to do anything in the playoffs. They've already knocked off the Grizzlies, who a lot of people thought would go pretty far in the playoffs. And now with Golden State, I mean, I think Golden State has figured something out last game, and I think that will probably continue going into the next couple games, especially if Anthony Davis is not playing. But Anthony Davis needs to be a little bit more aggressive, I would say. Last night he was not aggressive at all, and that ended up hurting the Lakers. And
he played okay last night, I'd say. But, the thing with Anthony Davis, it's like one game you get MVP version Anthony Davis, and the next game you get disinterested, would rather be anywhere else in the world, it looks like Anthony Davis. And to his credit, he put 2 great games together to get them up 3-1, because I don't think this is a case of, I don't think LeBron's necessarily running the show in this offense right now. I think Anthony Davis is almost the most important key to the Lakers right now. As he goes, in my opinion, is almost had. I know it sounds crazy. But when Anthony Davis shows up and plays to his best ability, the Lakers are winning every game. Yeah. And when he doesn't, they typically do not win. And also, I mean, other things they got to get. When they have depth scoring is also something they got to get, and they've gotten a lot of that from Rui Hachimura and Reeves. Hachimura was super cold. He barely shot, actually. He shot 3 times in 21 minutes. So you take that away from them, and then you add in Gary Payton putting up 13 points and Draymond giving you 20. That's the difference, really, I think I saw last night.
Well, you can really tell who a team actually is when they have a chance to pull out a game. And when I say that, I mean the Lakers, they only had to win. If they won this game, they're moving on, right? And the difference from game 4 to game 5, it was a completely different team. Like, it seemed like in game 4, the Lakers, it was a win or go home situation, right? Like, everybody had great games. The depth scoring was really good. Like, you get good minutes from all your bench guys, and the Warriors seemed non-existent. In this game, in a chance to pull it out, your guys just don't show up. And I think you are correct. Like, the offense is not really running through LeBron this series. And that's kind of what I think has kind of forced the Warriors into a bind in a lot of these situations, is they've played LeBron a lot. And I think in this situation, they're not used to LeBron not bringing up the ball and being the primary scorer. It's a lot of different guys, and the offense is trying to run through Anthony Davis, which the Warriors did a good job last night. A lot of the times when Anthony Davis got the ball, it was sending extra help over, even just tapping him, trying to get him to feel uncomfortable. So that's why I'm saying I think the Warriors kind of figured out what the Lakers are doing. Now it's up to the Lakers to kind of change it up, maybe go back to that conventional LeBron running the show, see how that works. But if the Lakers want to knock off the kings of the NBA, you need to show up every game, and you need to act like you're in an elimination game every game, because the Warriors have to win out. Are you going to let the Warriors come back from 3-1 and win? I don't know. I guess we'll see tomorrow, pretty much.
I would just like to see a close game, because there's only been one game in this series that was close.
Yeah,
there was one game, and this has been a theme. The first round of the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs, I'll lump that in together, was fantastic. We had close games. We had series going 6 and 7 and all over the place. It was madness. And I think in the NHL, if you include last night, 16 of the games that have been played in the second round, 11 of them have been decided by 3 goals or more. I mean, it's to the point where like a team jumps out 3-0 in the first period, and it's my cue. Okay, done for the night. Let me change the channel, because these teams aren't even pushing back. And I see that in the NBA as well. One team that did push back last night, though, however, with their backs against the wall, was the New York Knicks, who I had completely written off. I did not like the effort from them throughout most of this series. I didn't like Julius Randle, his comments after the last game. It just feels like it's been the Jalen Brunson show, and I'm looking around like, who else is going to show up for the Knicks? Who else is going to show up? And damned if I didn't see a great effort last night from Brunson, yes. But from Quentin Grimes, who's one of the more unheralded players on that team, and you look at the box score and you go, oh, he played 48 minutes. He had 48 minutes for the Knicks. And defensively, he had the stop of the game at the end of the game where he's limping on one leg, and he's got to cover Jimmy Butler. And he locked him up. Playoff Himmy. He locked him up.
No, he played great defense on Butler, and I think the Knicks found something with that, because, again, he had nothing to lose. I mean, again, elimination game, you could see how a team fares when they can close it out or when their backs are against the wall. I still don't think the Knicks have it, if I'm being honest.
No.
I think the Heat will win tomorrow night, especially going back to Miami. That's a place you don't want to go. And the Knicks, again, they played Jalen Brunson 48 minutes. Like, man didn't get a break. He played the entire game.
And that can't last.
No, I mean, it can't. And that's, like, credit to Tom Thibodeau for just saying, yep, you're just going to stay out there. But it's not sustainable. And at some point, Miami, and I'm sure Miami and Spoelstra have already figured out kind of ways to hinder or slow down Brunson. Because what I've noticed is if Brunson's not on it, this Knicks team is garbage. And that's just flat out truth. Like, Julius Randle he has too many highs and lows to be the consistent scorer for you. He's not really a, do it himself. He's more of a get it in a spot and do something with it. Jalen Brunson is your guy that is your elite scorer. And if he's not on it, your team is just not in it. So I think the Heat close this out tomorrow night. Do I like that? No, I want the Knicks to win because I don't like the Heat. But
I'm completely in a different boat, and you're more diehard Magic than I'll ever be, right? But
yeah,
I will, if the Magic are not in it, which has been the case for majority of the last 12 years. I just defaultly go to the Heat because I like Jimmy. I love Jimmy Butler. I'm a big Jimmy Butler guy. I think he raises his game to the playoffs better than almost anybody I think I've seen in the league. Like, the Heat are an 8 seed or a play-in team, and I feel like they're a threat to win the NBA championship. Seriously.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that comes down to Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra, who I think he's the best coach in the league, in my opinion.
He's done it for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's proven that he doesn't need LeBron, Wade, and Bosh to be a good coach. He can coach up anybody and make them elite team.
Yeah, he's great. By the way, I just saw this. I was scrolling through Twitter to see if I missed anything today. They gave an update to this. The Tom Brady game is not.
I was going to mention it to you because
it's not going to be in week 2 because the Patriots are opening up in week 1, and they're going to be against. It's going to be they're against the Eagles. They're going to honor Tom Brady against the Eagles now.
No.
I'm reading it right here.
I saw it's going to be in week 2.
Let me read the tweet. Jordan Schultz. Clarification, Patriots are opening up at home in week 1 and 2. Week 1, they will honor Tom Brady against the Eagles in a Super Bowl LII rematch per sources. Week 2 will be at home versus the Dolphins, as previously reported. So he's being honored against the Eagles instead of the Patriots.
So we're definitely losing. So we have to open the season against the Eagles. I hate that. I mean,
that's tough. That's
0-2.
tough.
0-2 to start.
That's tough. I just wanted storylines, man. I just wanted to see Brady getting honored against the Dolphins. I just wanted that.
We were talking about primetime games for the Bucs. Well, I am happy to report it hasn't been officially announced, but it looks like Pat's Dolphins is Sunday Night Football week 2. So we already get a primetime game in the second week of the season.
Well, that's great.
I know. It's great for us. I mean, to get killed in the first 2 weeks. But yeah, no, Richie, that makes me I'm actually upset that Nick said that and I didn't look at it myself because now I'm even more scared. I don't want to play the Eagles week 1. That's terrible.
You have fun with that. Okay, before we go, just real quick, because somebody asked a question here, and I'll let you answer, Sean, because we hate the Dreamers, right? Mm-hmm. Awful team name. He says, what would a good Orlando name for a baseball team be? If you had the pencil.
I'll be honest, guys, and I'm straight up. That is not my wheelhouse. I have no idea what the name should be. It can't be. I'm one of those, like, I'm going to complain about it, but I'm not coming up with anything better. So it's like, usually I have something ready. I mean, Richie said, Orlando play their nemesis, the Savannah Bananas. I know the Bananas, it can't be anything worse than that. But yeah, I've got nothing. Give me 3 years to figure out a name other than the Dreamers. I'm sure I could think of something.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Maybe like the coasters, roller coasters, Orlando.
Oh, that's almost worse than Dreamers, I think.
The Orlando Mouses, because Disney.
The coasters.
The coasters. The crazies. Or the Orlando Crazies.
The Orlando I-4 corridors. I don't know.
The corridors. Hey, that would be good.
There you go. The Orlando corridors.
You just have a road as the logo. That'd be something.
Whatever. There's no good options. It's a disaster. Just end it right now. But that'll do it for today. Hope everybody had a good time on this show today. I'm sure. Thank you, Sean, so much for joining me for this last hour as JP is doing his nice round table. So again, encourage you to check out the conversation we had in the first hour, going really big into the Rays after their struggles from last night, and our interview with Pat Williams as well. We'll be back tomorrow with a full 2 hours. JP will be back on. So have a good night, everybody. Go Rays up in the Bronx, and we will see you tomorrow.